Police officer who worked as a school resource officer being held on charges of rape involving a student.
42-year-old Matthew Waltman was arrested on rape charges. I spoke with one concerned Mannford resident about this case, and she told me, I'm glad he finally got caught.
After this incident, we decided to go up to the city of Mannford to get responses from them, from both the city manager and the head of schools, to see what was really going on and what the steps they've been taking to fix things. Unfortunately, their responses were far from ideal. After the city wasn't being helpful with our records request, the city manager walked out and we decided to ask him about the records and his thoughts on the recent incidents.
Okay, perfect. Well,
what do you want?
Well, so Matthew Walkman was an officer that you guys employed over here, and he allegedly, looks like pretty strong evidence, molested a child over at the Mannford schools. I'm sure you heard about that as city manager, right?
I watched the news like you did.
Okay. Well, we have information to believe that this was actually an issue before the incident that's been reported. And so what we're doing is we're investigating the issues now with the Mannford Police Department, issues related to the city's oversight of the Mannford Police Department, the policies and procedures and training protocols of the Mannford Police Department, and a whole bunch of other things. And what I'm asking this nice young lady for is just, I understand that the police department might have some of these records, but at the end of the day, the police department is a political subdivision of the city of Mannford. So if I serve it on the clerk of the city, it's the same as serving it on the police department. Don't get me wrong, I'm gonna go serve it on the police department too, but I want multiple people responsible for getting me these records. So I'm gonna give it to the clerk, and then I'm gonna give it to the police department. I don't know what's going on with police departments. We're investigating Oilton too, although that officer quit. He hasn't been charged yet. We gotta go talk to the DA about why they haven't charged that guy for beating up that veteran. Y'all seen that one on the news? Well, they closed City Hall.
We don't have anything to do with them. I mean,
No, I understand you don't. Y'all just have ones that diddle little boys at the school. I think that's worse. I think that's worse than him beating up a 76-year-old veteran.
Y'all didn't.
Well, I mean, your employee allegedly did it,
no,
right?
We immediately got a hold of the OSBI and had things taken care of.
It's my understanding that he'd been accused of this previously and that the Mannford Police Department didn't do anything about it.
Not with us.
Did y'all not do a good background check on him? Maybe?
He was working here before me. I have no idea.
No, I understand that, but look, I mean, here's
I have
the
no
thing.
idea.
Gerald, you'd agree. Oh, you're just not going to have a conversation? It looks really bad when you walk off having a conversation. So at the end of the day, aren't you responsible for everything that happens underneath you? At least with my team and all my employees, I mean, if one of them screws up, whether it's the lowly receptionist, it's my problem, right? That's the way I operate my business. Is that the way you operate Mannford?
This doesn't have anything to do with what you're asking for.
I'm just asking how you run Mannford, because we already have issues of police officers molesting children. It's your police department, and you're running the shop.
Yeah,
So
I'm not running that.
You're not running that, so the city manager doesn't run the police
I
department?
don't have anything to do with your police officer,
Who does?
the police chief.
Well, what have you done to implement reforms and things to make sure that this won't happen again in your police department? Have we changed? Let me ask you this: is it the same chief as the one who was working when the guy was doing this stuff at the school?
I don't know when that happened, so that.
Well, March 7th of 2024 is when the main stories came out. He was, he's been doing it for a while, allegedly. So my question is, how long has your police chief been your police chief?
I can't answer a question like that.
Unfortunately, Mannford is no stranger to controversy. Just a few years ago, a Mannford police officer got into an altercation with his supposed friend, a fellow Mannford police officer, and it ended up getting into a firing match in which this Mannford police officer was killed. The city manager did not want to talk about that one either.
Police chief was killed several states away. Florida investigators say that Lucky Miller was killed and one of his own officers is arrested for the crime.
What makes this so difficult is we basically almost lost 2 officers in this whole deal.
Your police chief got murdered by another police officer. Were they in like a lover's quarrel?
How would I know something like that?
You're the manager. Shouldn't you put that as your responsibility to know why that happened?
Stuff like that.
Why, as the manager, would you not get into stuff like that?
Because I wouldn't get into you and your stuff or anybody else in town. I don't have.
You're in charge of the police
I'm not in
department.
charge of personal lives.
You're in charge of the department and the people that work there. You're responsible for it. You're gonna leave it? Don't leave it at that.
I'm so sorry.
Are you serious?
I'm so sorry for you. I feel sorry for you.
You feel sorry? I feel sorry for you employing pedophiles and not caring about it.
After that great interview with the city manager, we then decided to go do an Open Records Act request with the Sheriff's Department. Now, this content was not supposed to make the final cut of the video. This was just supposed to be us getting a few records to help with our investigation. But as you're about to see, clearly even the cops don't know the law.
I need to do an Open Records Act request with the police department, so I don't know what the best way to do that is. What we're going to start with, I'd like to visually inspect your policy and procedure manual for the police department, the current in effect policy and procedure manual for the Mannford Police Department. Let's just start with that, please. The duty roster for the Mannford Police Department for today as well, while we're looking at the operations manual.
Okay, I have to, what exactly on the operations manual are you?
I'd just like to visually inspect it right now, the whole operations manual, to see what you got. How about I just do it orally? I just like to do it orally then.
Okay, that's not gonna work either.
Why is that not? According to Title 51 of the Oklahoma Open Records Act, I can do it during regular business hours in person and request to inspect these things.
Alright, do you have your ID on you?
I'm not giving you my ID. There's zero chance that's happening.
Okay, well, that's what's required of this records request to prove who you are.
No, it's not.
So,
can I?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Who are you?
Yeah, can I get your name?
Right here it says.
I understand. Can I get what your name is?
My badge number is 228.
In your last name?
My badge number is 228.
In your last name?
I'm not giving you my last name. My badge number is 228.
Okay, ma'am. So you're telling me, so badge number 228. You're telling me that in order for me to get open records, I have to give you my ID.
That's what it says on that form right there.
I don't really care what the form says. It's not what the law requires.
Okay, well, I am letting you know what my job is.
But your job is to receive Open Records Act requests, correct?
My job is to have you fill out this form.
And I'm politely declining and asking to inspect your operations manual. Police officers and wanting people's IDs. What is it with you guys? Golly, y'all have like this ID fetish. Do y'all get off on that? Do you like go home and masturbate to the thought of getting somebody's ID? Is that what gets you off at night? I'm so confused by cops and their ID fetish. It makes no sense to me. So you're not gonna. So if you just say I'm not gonna give you any records without the ID, I can leave. Just.
That's correct.
Okay, so it's correct that you're not going to give me any documents unless I give you an ID?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. And it was 228? Yep. All right, thank you.
Our third stop on this investigation was to talk to the head of Mannford Public Schools to see what policies they've put in place to help the kids and prevent this kind of thing from happening again in the future. Their answer, or should I say lack thereof, was very concerning.
Has the City of Mannford School District done anything with the Mannford Police Department on any kind of retraining or the kind of officers they're sending to the schools over here? I ask that because of the issue that happened with regards to the student and also the allegations and things that we're hearing related to the police chief and one of his officers. It starts to make me question all of the officers over there. Has there been any kind of retraining or thing put into place to ensure that we're getting some better people over here in Mannford for the kids in the school resource officer category?
We've reviewed everything that we had in place before, and we are definitely going out of our way to go above and beyond what we've even been doing to try to protect our kids as much as possible.
Can you give us an example of is there a policy that's changed? Is there something that we could ask for in that request that would show us kind of the changes that have been made in that department, or can you explain it to us?
And it's kind of caught us completely
No, I understand. We have a there's a reason why we call ourselves Gorilla for a reason.
off the
There's
cuff. I just am. I would be happy to sit down and go through it.
You know what? I'll give you my name and number, and you can contact me back, and we'll sit down and talk about it.
Since they were so nice at Mannford Public Schools, Ron decided to give them a little time to come up with policies and actually change something, because they clearly haven't yet. And so we waited a few weeks to come back and talk to him again. Our first stop, almost 2 weeks later, was back at the city hall to get the records we requested. We requested them digitally, and let's just say they wanted to scrape any penny from us they could.
Hello. Darla Farrow left a box of records for me.
Okay.
My name is Ron Durbin. You need to see proof of my... I'm going to humor you and show it to you, but I don't have to. But I'll humor you. I would, somebody else just randomly shows up knowing these documents are ready by her. I appreciate that.
That's 438.
Oh, no. I asked for them electronically. I'm not paying anything. I asked to inspect them. It's $0 to inspect government records. You want to call her and explain that to her? Yeah, I'm not paying for anything. You want to call her real quick? Okay, thank you.
For those of you who are a little confused, they are allowed to charge for printed copies, but since we requested them digitally, if they choose to then say they can't do it digitally and only give us the paper, which they can do it digitally, they can't charge us for it. This whole thing was a ploy to try to charge us a bunch of money for something that they knew we wouldn't pay for to keep us from getting the government records. And requiring an ID for that is also a violation of Title 51.
Y'all change your mind? Let me help you. No, let me help you.
Here's the invoice.
You're letting me have them though, right? I'm not paying the $400. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but there's an invoice for $400.
Well, ma'am, I'm not, but I made it clear I'm not paying. I made it clear I'm not paying this. So I'm gonna leave you here, take a picture of your invoice. But you gave me the records and I am not paying for these. She sent me an email saying something about couldn't do something electronically, so we printed them for you, they're available. She didn't say anything about costs or any of that stuff, because I would have emailed back and say I'm not accepting them that way.
Finally, let's go back to the school building and see what changes in policy they've made and what they've prepared to say to us. Because we've given them a few weeks after apparently we caught them off guard. And let's just take a look.
I know you guys depend on these departments to send you people, and they're not doing their job. And I mean, the Mannford Police Department, they won't even give us records for things, identify themselves, or any of that kind of stuff. And so our question is, what's this district going to do to make sure that these kids are not going to be subjected to this again? Because depending on them isn't working.
Yeah, I am as concerned about it as you are. I am not as educated as you are about what I can say when something is still in the court.
Right.
I'm really nervous about saying.
Okay, I understand that. I'm not asking anything about. Well, let me ask it this way. I'm not asking you to comment about the allegations related to that person. Forget. Look, let's understand that there's allegations, and that's made us concerned for our kids. What my question is, since those allegations were made, whether they're true or not, has the Mannford School District taken any definitive steps to help protect the kids, that doesn't happen again? And if so, can you give me one step that you guys have done to ensure that doesn't happen again?
We are truly reviewing all of it. We graduate next Thursday.
I understand.
So
you got all summer, and that's what if you'll commit to working on it, I'll commit to working with you on it.
But we've got we're going to get into it as soon as we're going to take a day off, and then we're going to get into it.
I've been looking for. I'm always looking for sort of that leader that said, "Hey, let's fix this problem." Look, there's problems in everything we all do. There's problems in my business. There's problems all around. It's acknowledging that there's an issue and working to resolve it. That's what government and people are supposed to do. And frankly, I'm looking for that shining star upon the hill that'll say, I'm willing to do something about this and be a leader and example, because then I'm going to take that and I'm going to go to every school district and say, hey, this is the policy that was adopted by Mannford. Do this. But that's what I'm going to do.
Mannford's not looking for that.
That's what I'm looking for.
We're looking to do things right, but we're not looking to
set the bar. Isn't that what you're? Yeah, but it doesn't your own slogan talk about teaching morals and instilling good values in people and all that stuff? Shouldn't we then be setting to strive to be the best example that we can be?
If I'm doing something right and I can share it with somebody, definitely. But I don't want to be used as a lever to beat somebody over the head. So
no, I'm not talking about. But if you say, hey, somebody else has done it, people stand on the backs of giants, right? And if you are already the giant, then they don't have. It's not as far a push. You're not. It's helping and encouraging them to say, hey, look, this is not so difficult of a step. Somebody else has already done it. It went well for them. This is how it worked. You lead by example, right?
Yeah, and I'm with you on everything you said up to the shining star on the hill, which...
You don't want to be the shining star on the hill?
We don't mind doing something right. We want to do things right, but...
Is that the best message to send for the Mannford School District? We're okay with doing a few things right, but we don't want to be that shining star up on the hill?
We want to do everything right, and we want to be the shining star, but we don't want to be the, hey, look at us.
Can you give me, again, I'm going to ask you, since this happened, can you give me one concrete policy change that's been adopted by the Mannford School District?
No.
That's shameful. That's shameful, Superintendent Bradlin. That's shameful. So you should be ashamed of yourself for that. You should have taken immediate, decisive action to ensure that something didn't happen to the kids. And you realize that there's a problem, and you are responsible for these kids. Decisive action in the face of challenge is a requirement of a leader. And you, sir, are not acting with leadership if you've not done anything definitive about this. That's a question I came back here to ask because I was so concerned that y'all hadn't done anything. I'm glad you honestly answered the question, but that terrifies me, sir.
If you've enjoyed this video so far, please hit that like and subscribe button so we can continue fighting. If you guys want to see a part 2 of this, just let us know down in the comments and we'll be sure to make it happen. We'll go back up there. And if you guys want to request the documents we were not able to get, we'll have in the pinned comment and in the description all of the different phone numbers for all the different offices, along with our emails so you can send us any records you're able to obtain.